Hi, grade 10. Welcome back. Unit 3, Exploring the Red Planet. Yes, today we are going to study together Reading 2, which is a timeline for a mission to Mars. Now, if you can open your textbook, let's go to page 57. Yes. Okay, here we are. Reading 2. Okay, so today we're going to focus on the comprehension of a text. Before we do that, we're going to look at the bold-faced words. As usual, we're looking at vocabulary, and in this case also at vocabulary in context. Look at the bold-faced words in the reading and think about the questions. Which words do you know the meaning of? And can you use any of the words in a sentence? That's a good question. Okay, let's look at the text, timeline for a mission to Mars. Okay, if you can answer those two questions 1 and 2, I'll give you a few seconds to do so, and then we continue with the text. Awesome. Okay, we're going to read the online article about a timeline for going to Mars. Now, in this part, we will have the bold-faced words, that we're looking at, such as speculations, launching spaceships, checking the health of the astronauts. We've got launching the astronauts, daily schedule for trip to Mars, leaving Earth, engines. We're looking at traveling to Mars, reaching Mars, supply ships. We're looking at automatically established, reaching Mars, passenger ship, and beginning mission, leaving Mars, and landing on Earth. Okay. Now you can annotate as you follow. You read the text and you follow the audio. You can annotate the text. Before we normally go into a text, the first thing we do is always predict, right? So we predict the type of text and the purpose. Then we would skim the text by looking at reading the introductory paragraph and every first sentence of every body paragraph and the concluding paragraph, and we do that to get the main idea. Okay, but we basically already did that just now, since I read every subtitle of every paragraph. Okay, then let's start.
Timeline for a mission to Mars. NASA currently has 3 spaceships orbiting Mars and 3 rovers and 1 science lab on the planet, but they don't have plans to send colonists there like Mars 1 does. Sending anyone, colonists for the rest of their lives or astronauts for 2 months, to Mars takes a lot of planning. Space researchers have suggested plans for sending people to Mars, and their plans are based on real facts. But since no one has ever gone to Mars, their plans are only speculations. For example, the people at TV's Discovery Channel made a movie called Race to Mars, which follows a realistic timeline. The magazine Popular Science has also written about the steps needed to go to Mars. What timeline events can scientists agree on? Here is a plan that might be proposed. Days 1 through 97, launching spaceships. Parts for the 3 supply ships and 1 passenger ship are launched and begin to orbit the Earth. Spaceship builders put the ships together. After that, the 3 supply ships leave for Mars. The passenger ship waits in orbit until the astronauts arrive. Days 98 through 112, checking the health of the astronauts. The astronauts stay away from other people for 2 weeks before leaving Earth to avoid getting sick. Doctors make sure they are in good health.
Yes, goes to the next page.
Days 113 through 115. Launching the astronauts. The astronauts leave Earth in the 5th ship and meet the passenger ship already in orbit. The ship connects to the passenger ship. The astronauts enter the passenger ship and make sure everything is in good working order. Day 116. Leaving Earth. The engines fire to help the passenger ship leave the Earth's gravity. When the ship is in space, it begins to spin around. The spinning creates artificial gravity. Days 116 through 356. Traveling to Mars. The trip to Mars takes 240 days. The schedule for each day is similar to a typical Earth day. Day 342. Reaching Mars. Supply ships. The supply ships arrive almost 2 weeks before the passenger ship does. After these ships are in orbit around Mars, 2 of the ships land on the surface. Because of their programming on Earth, the ships begin to work automatically. One of the supply ships is the artificial habitat, and it needs to be established in an appropriate area. The area needs to be large enough for the astronauts to do their research and prepare their experiments. The 3rd ship waits in orbit for the passenger ship to arrive. Day 356. Reaching Mars. Passenger ship. After the passenger ship stops spinning, it enters orbit around Mars. It connects to the 3rd supply ship. Then, the astronauts land on Mars. The passenger ship stays in orbit. Day 357. Beginning mission. The astronauts move into the artificial habitat, which supplies oxygen but not full gravity. They begin their exploration of Mars, which includes drilling for water, collecting rocks, and doing experiments to determine if there was ever life on Mars. Day 417. Leaving Mars. The astronauts take off from Mars and connect to the passenger ship. They check the ship, get it ready, and begin their return to Earth. Day 657. Landing on Earth. The astronauts get into the small ship and land on Earth in the ocean.
Okay. Awesome. That brings us to the comprehension, guys. Yeah, answer the questions and discuss your answers. Now, we'll definitely do that during our Zoom meeting, but I'd like you to take some time to try to answer these questions. Scan through your text to find the answers. So you basically have to annotate the questions first on the keywords, and then you go through the text to find that keyword and know where you can scan to find the answer to the question. You can pause your video. Go ahead. Okay, that brings us to the reading skill. Scanning for details. As I said just now, when we scan, we're basically looking for a keyword in the text. And once we find that keyword, we go a little bit before it and after it in order to really analyze that particular part of the text in order to find an answer to a question. Look at reading 2 again. When you looked for the bold-faced words, did you read quickly or carefully? Now, when you read quickly, that is scanning. You're kind of not reading, but more looking over the text. It is a useful skill that allows you to find information quickly without having to read the entire text. Before you carefully read reading 2, you were asked to look at the bold-faced words. Now that was scanning. So the first strategy is previewing to predict the text type and purpose, to create a focus by looking at the title, the headings, and the visuals. Then the second step is to skim, reading the introductory paragraph, every topic sentence, and the concluding paragraph. That is to get the main idea and the structure of the text. And then the third would be question analysis, to know what the topic and purpose is of the question. And then it could be intensive reading, where you read the body paragraphs and then annotate while you're reading. And then you would go to the question again and scan the text for details in order to answer the question. Awesome. Now, in addition to highlighted words, that is when we annotate, we highlight, underline, or circle keywords. You can scan for keywords, names, and numbers. Now, keywords are words that are often repeated. They carry the main information of the sentence. Look for capital letters when you want to find a name. Numbers are easy to find. Scanning is very useful when taking tests. Yeah, first read the question and then scan the reading for the answer. Yeah, so for example, how many points are listed on the timeline? And you scan, counts the number of underlined subheadings in the reading. Or for example, who made the movie Race to Mars? You scan, find the title of the movie in italic, and read around it. Always read around it to get the correct understanding of that part of the text. What happens on day 470? When you scan, find that number on the list and just read what happens that day. Okay, these are some of the examples, right? Okay, so what is it we're going to do right now? We're going to scan reading 2 for the answers to these questions. Refer to the paragraphs or day numbers in the parentheses. For example, how many NASA rovers are on Mars and how many ships orbit the planet? So we would have to annotate this first. Rovers, Mars, how many rovers, Mars, and how many ships orbit. So we would go back, we look at the reference of paragraph 1. Yeah, we would then go to paragraph 1 in order to figure out, and then you would scan through it to see how many there are. Here we go, 3 rovers, right? That is straight away you can see 3 rovers. And then you go around until you find the other number, which is 3 ships. Okay, so you kind of scan through it to find the number and to figure out what it is. Okay, that is how we scan. Okay, so I want you to answer numbers 1 until 5. You can pause your video. Go ahead. Great, that brings us to the last part, which is connecting the readings. Basically, we're going to organize the information from reading 1. And we're going to organize the information from reading 2 and combining them together, connecting the dots, right? And analyze that information. Now, reading 1 and reading 2 contain information about Mars missions. Using this information, fill in the missing information in the chart. If there isn't a solution offered in reading 2 for a problem for reading 1, you leave it blank. So reading 1, we're focusing on finding the problems, and in reading 2, we are focused on finding the solutions that are going for the problems. For example, lack of oxygen in Mars atmosphere. The solution is found in reading 2, artificial habitats where oxygen and air is regulated. That would then be the solution to the problem mentioned in reading 1. Now we've got poor soil on Mars, weak muscles, bones, and heart without gravity, feeling of isolation from home, and boredom. And then there are 2 other problems missing, to which we do have the solution: keeping busy with activity caused tiredness and sleep, required exercise periods. I'm going to ask you to pause your video to look through both texts and complete this chart. Go ahead. Awesome. Yeah, now you have done that. It brings us to the point of synthesizing. So organizing is really where we connect the dots of the information. We have analyzed it, then we are correlating it. And in synthesizing, basically, we come to the point of creating something new with the information that we've gotten. So we've got the evaluation, the analysis, connecting the dots, the evaluation of our judgment and conclusion, and then the creation, where we make something with the information that we've gotten. Imagine an informational interview between a Mars 1 representative and a woman interested in going to Mars as a colonist. Fill in the missing parts with information from the chart in step 1. So we've got the chart filled out here, and we are going to use that information to fill out this informational interview. What questions do you have? I've heard that the absence of gravity can cause physical problems. What kinds of physical problems? What would come here? Now, that is what I want you to find out and fill out based on the chart on page 60. This one. Exactly. Okay, you can pause your video to do this. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson today. Yeah, for reading 2, as we looked at the bold-faced words in context of a text and knowing its definition and using the comprehension questions to understand what the text means. We learned what scanning is, scanning for detail as in looking over the text, and keywording, which is closely related to annotating, the underlining or highlighting on or circling of keywords in a sentence. Then we connected reading 1 with reading 2 to see how the problems mentioned in reading 1 find solutions in reading 2. And with that information, we filled out an informational interview. Awesome. That was all for today. I thank you for joining in today, and I appreciate your hard work. You are awesome. Have a great day. God bless you. Bye.